Folks at home, welcome back to the Crimson Oak Pond. We are right here in the peak of the summer, and let me tell you, these bass are active. They're literally going airborne. We got a lot of cool things coming up in this video with them. And speaking of airborne, we decided to go fishing with a drone, and that went exactly like you would expect. We're also going to be adding more bait fish to the pond. This time we're going with a bulkier size, adult golden shiners. But I'll have to say I got pretty concerned when the 5-acre pond turned into chocolate milk overnight. And keep in mind we hadn't had any rain, so it's not mud, but after talking to the biologist, we think we got it figured out. So back in the early spring, we had crystal clear water, which created a lot of aquatic growth, and we treated that with a beneficial bacteria to help starve that out, which worked perfectly, and shortly after that we fertilized the pond and got that green plankton bloom that we've been trying to achieve. And if you're not familiar with it, that phytoplankton is a key component to raising big bass. It starts at the microscopic level, where that plankton feeds all the small insects and fish, which in turn feed the bigger fish in the pond. And you can see here we had a nice bloom with a visibility around 19 inches. And phytoplankton starts the life cycle of a pond and is the basis of a food chain. And once you have a healthy population, it begins feeding these microscopic animals or insects called zooplankton. And as the zooplankton numbers increase, the phytoplankton begins to die off, and that's when you'll notice the pond turn from that olive green color to the darkish brown. But as I mentioned, this is good news and part of the life cycle because that zooplankton is what feeds the bluegills and all the smaller fish in the pond. So even though it may not look like good news when you walk out to the pond and it looks like there's paint floating on the surface, that's just nature going through its cycles, and as that plankton's dying off, it's helping to feed everything in the food chain and making this pond extremely fertile. And again, the only downside that typically can come from this is it could create dissolved oxygen problems. That's